Well, hello everybody. This is Louise Eddington with Utah for Bernie Sanders with yet another interview with a candidate for House Representative in Utah. And I'd love to welcome Alexis Hall, who's running for House District 40. Hi.
Hi, Louise.
And so, Alexis, tell everybody what encouraged you to run as a House representative.
I feel like Democrats in Utah often feel that our voice isn't heard and that it really doesn't matter if they vote or not because this is a red state and it's going to be Republican no matter what we do. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that we have a very low voter turnout and a lot of voter apathy. And I think that if a fire could get lit behind Democrats and independents in Utah who share the same sort of values, that we could possibly make a huge change in our government. And I was greatly encouraged when I went to the caucus. Our District 40 caucus was gigantic. We had a huge turnout, and most of the people who I spoke to were not regular voters. They didn't normally vote, but they felt like for once they had a reason to vote. And I would like to continue that in my district and have people continue to come out and vote and have someone to get behind that they're excited about and who they feel shares their same struggles. Because a lot of the people in my district are in my same age group. A lot of the people in our district are families without children. And then there's several younger, lots of younger kids. And I think that the concerns of what kind of air are we going to have to breathe? Am I going to be able to afford for my child to go to college? Why am I not making a raise and those CEOs are getting tons of money? I think that those are concerns that not only I have, but that the people around me share. And so I think it might be nice for us to actually have a face on the Hill that is going through the same problems that they're going through is what I'm going through. So I don't know. I think that's good enough reason for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people feel a bit disconnected from the current legislature, don't they? They just, I think they do need this fresh kind of voices in there. Even, and this is the start of it, isn't it? Really, it's not, it's not like just for this election.
That's what I want to see is that it's not just, this caucus.
Yeah.
My bad dogs. That it's not just this caucus, that we get people to turn out in November to vote, that we get people to turn out, at the next, at our next local elections, and that we continue to keep voter engagement. And I think that if you have someone who hears you, then that helps quite a bit more to get people to turn back out.
Yeah, and people volunteering for the Democratic Party too, as
oh yeah,
enliven the party.
Absolutely. Well, even just things like being involved in precinct level government, going around and knocking on doors and getting to know your neighbors, all of that stuff I think will make such a huge difference in people's involvement and wanting to get out and vote, wanting to show up for events, and I think letting them have a voice is the best way to do that.
I agree. Yeah, you're funny. So talk about the issues a bit more. You've talked about the air, big passion of mine.
So my biggest concern, well, I have two of them really. I'm an emergency room nurse. And so every day I see patients who don't have adequate health care or have zero insurance coverage. And so they're waiting longer to go to the doctor. They're getting sicker. And then they're coming in and they're having bigger problems. And a lot of people come to the emergency room because they can't afford, it's the only place that you can't be turned away. Well, the emergency room is much more expensive than a primary care doctor or an Instacare. Yeah. And then people who don't have insurance can't pay that bill. And as taxpayers, we all end up paying that bill anyhow. So it's really upsetting to me when our Medicaid expansion was not passed.
Yep.
It would not have cost us any money, and it would save taxpayers money. It's not even about the money. To me, it's about watching people get sicker and not have care. People coming in and being prescribed medicines and not being able to get them filled at the pharmacy. Having patients who come in and they say, well, I only take half of this medicine. Oh, why are you only taking half? Because it costs so much. I can't afford it all.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy. It's crazy that in the richest country on earth, people do not have health care. And it's the people, it's the most vulnerable people, you know, it's elderly people, it's kids, it's families that are just trying to make it, and they're getting buried with bills, and there's no way they're ever going to be able to make it out of it. And I don't think that that's okay. And the next one would be the education. It is really upsetting to me as a mother of an 11-year-old that I know that he goes to school in the state where it is the lowest per student funded in the nation. In 2017, half of our teachers are able to retire, and we don't have any, there are not teachers to fill those holes. One of the ladies in my district is a teacher out in Granite School District, and she was saying that next year they have 500 openings, and they've received 30 applications. And the people who suffer, right? The people who suffer in that, and not me, it's the kids. It's the kids who suffer, and
the few teachers that are teaching.
Absolutely. I read an article last year. They were talking about it on KSL or whatever, and someone responded and they said that what needs to happen is that children need to have more respect for those teachers, and then more people will want to teach. And I thought that was pretty bad to put it off on kids. I think what we should do is lift up teachers and lift up students. And when teachers are graduating from college and they're getting starting pay qualifies them for food stamps. I don't understand how we're going to get anybody to want to be a teacher if they're riddled with student debt on food stamps.
I know, and never going to be able to get out of that again.
They'll never be able to get out of it. And then they have to, you know, work out so many hours outside of the regular workday and provide supplies for their own classrooms because we're funded so poorly. A state that says we value families, so upsetting to me.
And me too.
To see that. So I think that is something that needs to change, both K through 12 funding for Head Start, and then we need to do something about our higher education. I think it was yesterday or the day before it came out, the increases in all our schools. It's more expensive. And I mean, there's lots of, I could talk about funding college education all day because there's so many problems with that.
Well, and high school as well. I'm the mother of two teenagers. One's a senior and one's 10th grade, whatever that is. and the extras we have to pay out for them to do certain classes, it just really adds up. They're like, oh, we need this check and this check and this check and this check, because the schools are so poorly funded, you know. And I'm lucky we can afford it, but not everybody can.
No. And it is really sad to me that it's that in this state where we put so much emphasis on families and this value that we have
Mm.
on families, and then you look at what is happening,
Mm.
and we don't value families.
No, we don't.
At least our actions show that we're not valuing families. And I'd like to see, I'd much rather have seen schools get $53,000 or $53 million than a coal port in California.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That one I have a hard time with. And then, so my little boy and his classmates, they went up to the state capitol building and they protested for clean air.
Good for them.
Yeah, it was really impressive. Three schools, they went up there, they had a protest for clean air. And my little guy asked me, he was like, so Mom, did they vote in favor of us? Oh. And I was like, no, they didn't. They didn't vote in favor of you. And I know that the Democrats that are up there are trying as hard as they can.
Oh, they are, but there's so few of them against.
There's so few of them, and again, it goes back to like voter apathy, and people just think like, oh, my vote doesn't count. And I also think that we could use a lot of social pressure on other people, because I don't think every Republican in the state wants their kids poisoned by the air.
Oh, I agree.
And I think we need to use a lot of social pressure and talk to our friends who are Republicans and encourage them to do the same thing, to tell their legislators, like, this is what we want. This is what we want. We don't want you getting your bank account padded. We want you to vote what's right for us.
Exactly. And that brings me to another thing, campaign finance.
Oh. Huge.
Oh, yeah.
So as a member of the United Progressive Coalition, I have vowed that I will not accept any corporate money, any money from businesses, things like that, which means I'm running a campaign that's solely funded by donations, which is a little scary to think of, because how do you really campaign without a lot of money?
But that's ridiculous in itself, I think.
Yes.
There should be limits on the amount you can spend on a campaign.
Absolutely. And I'm all for public funding of campaigns.
Yeah, I am.
And it should not be, you shouldn't have to get billboards, and you shouldn't have to be, no. You shouldn't be buying our legislatures. That's the most important thing.
The representative in my district spent $100,000 in 2014 on his campaign.
Your House representative.
Yeah, $100,000 to be a state House representative, and he took Coke money.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, my plan is to actually get out and meet the majority of the people in my district and knock on their doors and talk to them face to face, because I think that's
more important than billboards and stickers and T-shirts. And
I've been canvassing for Bernie Sanders, canvassing around here and doing, are you going to go caucus tonight? Then I would introduce myself and I would say, I'm Alexis Hall and I'm running for House of Representatives in this district. And most people didn't know who our representative was. And so I thought, well, you know who I am now, and you'll see it. And that's what I think will get people out to vote. They actually see you and meet you and feel interested in that vote.
You're going to be busy, though. Going out to everybody.
It'll be good. I'll get good, strong legs between us.
Oh, so where could people find you, Alexis?
So I have a Facebook page, and it's Alexis Hall House District, or HD 40. You can type that in, or you can search it under Alexis Hall for House District 40.
I will put the links in the YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Well,
okay. Yeah. And then you can even call me on my cell phone if you want. I'm totally open to that. My cell phone number is 801-979-1052. And you can email me at alexishall@gmail.com.
Awesome. And also, you're on the UPC Utah website as well.
Yeah, just under Ash Anderson, our senator we have running.
I know, going for senator. Well, is there anything else you want to tell everybody? I think you've shown your passion for I think that's fabulous, though. That's what we need.
I'm glad I didn't start crying. I didn't really start crying, but I've gone over it several times now that.
Yeah. I know, it makes me cry sometimes. I will say at the last Bernie Sanders rally, I sat next to a single mom, and she was telling me how hard her life was, and I was crying. Like, this breaks my heart. You know?
When I think about how I'm going to pay for college for Josiah when he's 18, knowing how much I pay right now for my student loans, I get, that one tears my eyes every time. Because my sister and I were the first girls on our side of my mom's family to graduate from college. And I want my son to be able to graduate from college.
Without debt.
Yeah, without debt. Without accruing the amount of debt that I've accrued.
Yeah.
I think if he were to know going into it how long he'll be paying for it, it might not seem like the option anymore.
Well, my teens are seeing it as they're looking elsewhere, shall we say. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I don't think kids in America should have to do that. And I don't think that they should have to go off and fight in a war in order
Oh, me too.
earn a college degree.
Unnecessary wars, you know. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so that's.
And did you get an endorsement?
No, I did not get an endorsement.
Oh.
But I took it as a win because you had to get 60% of the vote to get an endorsement, and I got 48.
Oh,
which means
good.
52.
Yeah.
And he's an incumbent, so I thought that was really good.
And this was from the Progressive Caucus, by the way, for anybody that's listening. So that's I think that is really good. Well done.
Yeah, I was really proud of myself.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're done, are we? Yeah. Is anything else you want to say? We don't like to go too long because people attention spans are.
All right.
Well, thanks, Alexis.
Thank you so much, Louise.
Okay.